All right, so before I begin, I want to concede the obvious. There's not a single person that came here today to hear some random alumni speak about some random topics, a person that you've never heard of, have no idea what he's accomplished. I know nobody is here to hear that because I came by myself. So everybody here today is here to celebrate the accomplishments of these graduates, and I get it. But allow me to entertain you just for a moment, because I'm conscious and comfortable that within my 7 to 10 minutes that I'll be able to share something with you that will be impactful. So we're here to celebrate an uncommon accomplishment, a grandiose milestone. Again, I get it. But the emotions that you're feeling in this moment are so overwhelming that you could care less about what I have to talk about. I get that. So that's why I took the time to develop a message that I believe will allow you to leave here different than when you arrived. So formalities, to President D'Amelio, the Board of Trustees, the administration, faculty, and staff, the loved ones that have come here together, the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, but more importantly, to the graduates of 2022, we celebrate you. We are here today to celebrate your accomplishments, and this is not something that should be taken lightly. So as I hear my bio read, I'm oftentimes embarrassed because your bio tells people who you are or who you become, but it doesn't tell people your journey. So what am I? I'm a survivor of childhood trauma. I escaped the trappings of urban America. I became a statistical anomaly because little African-American boys born to mothers who did not graduate from high school don't have the opportunity to receive a terminal degree from a prestigious university. We do not become transformational superintendents. And we definitely do not have the audacity to accept the invitation to come back and speak at said university. So my bio tells you who I've become, but it does not tell you who I am. I'm from 583 miles away from here. Did not know who my father was until I was 12. The man who I thought was my father was murdered when I was 4, and my father was closely present. So had it not been through the grace of God to give me a praying grandmother, a support system, I grew up with the sons and daughters of heroin addicts, I would not be here before you today. So please just entertain me for one moment. So why am I here? I'm here as a co-conspirator to ask God, the heavens, the universe, and our ancestors to grant you everything that your heart desires. I'm here to stand in the gap and serve as a co-signer to ensure that everything you have ever wanted, you get. So if your desires are to become rich and famous, I stand with you to make this come to fruition. If your desires are to travel the world and spend money and go to places that you've read about or you see on the internet, I co-sign that as well. But there's one catch. I am asking for all of these things to happen so that you can recognize that that's really not what life is about. That no matter how much money you have, no matter how many travels you are able to do, you will not feel fulfilled because we were all born with a purpose. I have had the pleasure of knowing world-class celebrities and athletes. And surprisingly, most of them are not satisfied. Why is that? They have everything money can buy, but they still feel empty because they're always away from their families. They're isolated. They can't develop friendships or connections. And the money and fame have robbed them of just the simpler things in life. I've met some incredibly wealthy people who have no real connection to their loved ones because the price or the cost for wealth was far more than they were willing to pay because it was a consequence of the grind. The quest for wealth comes at a steep price. So I want to help each of you understand that we all have a responsibility to not do well for ourselves. We're responsible for making sure that our families are okay. But we're here because our life has a much grander purpose. I want you to be blessed beyond measure, but not just in a monetary sense, because the blessing I speak of requires us to be conscious and for us to make a commitment to help ease the burdens of other people. The theme for this year's commencement program is a focus on social justice. Social justice is a view that everyone deserves equal economic, political, and social rights and opportunities. But equality is not possible without us becoming intentional. It was the great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. who once said that change cannot happen unless we establish a moral dilemma. Well, how many more moral dilemmas do we need? There's an endless buffet for us to choose from. We're constantly at war. And I'm not speaking about war in a political sense. I'm speaking about the war on drugs and its casualties. I'm speaking about the war on poverty and its countless victims. The war on women's rights, health inequalities, domestic violence, the COVID-19 endemic, and the list is exhausting. So choose something that you are passionate about because it will become part of your greatness. However, that spark that is needed to impact the world isn't necessarily on a global scale. I want you all to focus on what you can touch. Be vigilant with a persistence and a stamina that is needed to destroy these strongholds. Not a single person here should believe that they were born without a great calling on their life. How can you be okay with just existing or not having a story to tell? Your accomplishments will become your legend. I am an English teacher by training, and I remember teaching my students the 8 parts of speech. But for the purpose of brevity, I only want to focus on one today, and that is the verb. And a verb is defined simply as a word that describes an action. Marshawn Lynch, retired NFL running back from the Seattle Seahawks. Skittles candy brand ambassador. NFL champion. Minority owner of the Seattle Kraken. And infamous for his authenticity. He was notorious for refusing to give interviews to the media. During 1 week of the media with one of their Super Bowl runs, he showed up and answered every question by simply saying, "I'm just here not to get fined." Every question they asked, "I'm just here not to get fined." But for all of his accomplishments, I was most inspired by an interview that he had with Deion Sanders, ironically. And when Deion asked him about why he doesn't like to talk, he simply responded, "I'm about that action, boss." So how's that relative to me referencing the parts of speech? Because as of today, your name no longer represents a noun. Your name represents a verb. We are in a metaverse, and you will become a Marshawn Lynch in your universe. Why? Because you're going to be about that action, boss. I'm about that action. As a trauma survivor turned healer, without question, my purpose is to create the conditions that allow young people to have a path for healing, to escape the collateral consequences of poverty as they focus on their own individual healing. So if you can accept that we are all passionate about causes that we've been impacted by, My question to you is, what will become your life's work? And it can't be to live to the American dream, to do well only for yourself and your family. Why? Because the American dream is elusive. It's a nightmare for some. Because debt, stress, abuse, neglect, and tragedy have so many people in need of therapy that we can no longer ignore what is going on around us. Yes, you're supposed to be there for your families. Yes, you are supposed to live comfortably. But the universe connects us all. We share a kinship that requires the strength of the collective to ease the burden for others. So what will be the primary dilemma or dilemmas that you will focus your life on to address and leverage social equity? It was Archimedes who said, "Give me a place to stand and a lever, and I will move the earth." So today, to all my verbs, the Marshawn Lynches that we have, who are here today and are about that action, where is the place that you will stand? Where is your lever so that you can move the earth? How will you use your voice to create opportunities for others that may not have your privilege? This universe has played an important role in my development as a man. When I arrived here, I thought that I was complete. However, it organically helped me to understand that I held some unconscious bias. It was here that I truly understood that regardless of your socioeconomic status, your political affiliations, your religious beliefs, that we all are dealing with experiences that connect us. So this university helped me to stretch my perspective. It shaped my understanding to become even more inclusive as I asked people to join me on this path to make life better for others. So as I come to a close, I simply ask for every graduate here to be adventurous in the pursuit of supporting justice and live a life filled with action. Be about that action, boss. And remember that you are here to live a life that promises to inspire others by the stories that you will tell based on your service to those in desperate need of your gifts. Thank you.